I'd like to welcome you all tonight to the 2022 Business Expo, hosted by Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett. Tonight, we'll have presentations by several agencies and entities that do work to assist contractors to do work with the government. So we kind of dubbed this event Doing Business with the Government. So, you know, because we want to make sure with all this federal money coming through over the next few months and the money that's here already, that we could have a bunch of opportunities for our local contractors to benefit from it. So tonight, you know, we put a lot of work into this event. We're also going to be on St. Croix tomorrow. But I really want to thank all the presenters, all the presenters are going to be presenting here tonight, because I know you guys do a lot of work on this. You know, I know you guys do a lot of, you know, you have some upcoming events, but in the past, I see you guys out there beating the pavement, trying to get our local contractors, trying to get our businesses help. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't, but you know, we're not gonna worry. But you know, I think we just need to keep pushing and keep driving, and you know, it's gonna get through. You know, we have a lot of great examples. I think tomorrow we're gonna see an example of one of the businesses that benefited from some of these programs, and so we'll highlight that tomorrow. But for tonight, with no further ado, I'm gonna head up to my other duties working in technology, and I'll bring up Ms. Lisa Acquis from Sba.
Good evening, ladies and gents. My name is Lisa Shamley Acquis, and I represent the Small Business Administration here in the Virgin Islands, together with our Senior Area Manager, Wayne Huddleston, who will be speaking with you tomorrow on St. Croix. Not yet. We're happy to be here as federal contracting is one of the areas of our mission. And we just wanted to share a little bit with you about marketing and selling to the federal government. Next slide. All right, so the first thing as a small business that you have to take into consideration are you considered a small business? And we've all come through the last 2 years with COVID, understanding the disaster loans for the economic injury disaster loan, the PPP, and they all ask the same question: are you a small business? So what does that mean for those of us in the territory? First of all, the size standards for a small business are determined by the NAICS industry codes, and the NAICS is the North American Industry Classification System, and it is developed by census.gov to classify business establishments based on their primary business activity. For the purposes of the last two loans, small businesses have less than 500 employees, and pretty much most of our small businesses, or most of our businesses in the US Virgin Islands, fall under a small business definition. So we're good. The other thing, business type. So whether you are a sole proprietor, a partnership, a corporation, or any other legal form, you need to be very clear in terms of your registration, your incorporation documents, and so on. And as long as you operate primarily within the US, then that qualifies you as a small business in the USVI. On the flip side, oh, there we go, one more. There we go. All right. On the flip side, you know, there are size restrictions. They will hardly be, but if you want, you can go to the NAICS code and find out the average number of employees or the annual receipts necessary to be considered a small business. There are also non-qualified businesses or ineligible businesses, and non-qualified businesses are businesses that operate outside of the US. And ineligible businesses, there's a whole line of them, primarily businesses that deal with gambling, businesses that deal with, for want of a better word, adult entertainment, businesses that deal with illicit drugs, speculation, things like that. But there's a whole list of them. We won't go into that. And then for the most part, nonprofit businesses are not considered in federal contracting to be offered federal contracting. Okay, next slide. No, okay, the whole slide is up. So there are a couple of things to consider in evaluating if your small business is ready and capable of fulfilling a government contract. So one, do you have the systems in place to handle it? Do you have capital? Do you have time? Do you have staffing, materials, a reporting system? What's your ramp up time? If you receive a contract today, how long is it going to take you to be ready to start executing on that project? Do you have an existing relationship with a lending institution or a bank? Can you meet eligibility requirements such as insurance and surety bonding? And that's another service that SBA offers. Do you have an accounting system? An accounting system is required by law for federal contracting to track assets and to track taxable income. And in your accounting system, one of the things that you want to make sure of is that you are avoiding unnecessary costs and operating efficiently. Do you have federal, state, or local government contracting experience? So your ability to compete in the federal market is greatly influenced by your experience. And there are prime contractors, and then there are subcontractors. And if you are a small business new to the federal contracting arena, you may want to start in the subcontracting area, build up the experience, gain a track record before you bid on a prime contracting opportunity. Do you have available cash, regardless of whether it's in your pocket or your bank account? Or do you have investments that you can convert to cash in 90 days? Does the government buy what you sell? So do your research, identify a couple of government agencies that buy your product and your service, and then focus on those agencies in terms of your marketing. Really delve, because there are so many agencies. So if you find a few that do business regularly in the territory, that's a good start. Now, the government prefers to work with established and reliable businesses. So do you have a track record of delivering quality goods and services on time and within budget? Is your reputation within the industry strong? All right. Not only, we talked about having cash. It can take you a long time to win your first government contract. And it can also take you a significant amount of money. Some businesses spend between $80,000 and $130,000 to earn their first contract. So you'll need to have enough cash flow to sustain your business, and maintaining a diverse list of private sector clients while you wait for government payments as well is a good thing to take into consideration. Being e-commerce savvy is a very important thing in government contracting as well. For example, if you want to work with the Department of Defense, you must be able to invoice and receive payments electronically. Next slide. So the government is considered the world's largest buyer. Purchases by military and civilian installations amount to nearly $500 billion a year. And the government's procurement policy, and we're going to hear from property and procurement soon as well, encourages prime and subcontracting opportunities for small business as a catalyst to economic growth. So the current government-wide procurement goal is at least 23% of all federal contracting dollars. And, the government contracts include full and open competition, small business set-asides, and sole sourcing contracts. In government, purchasing the process of requesting proposals, evaluating bids, and making awards should take place always on a level playing field with full visibility. And there you will see some of the certifications, the federal certifications available to small business that have a capture or that the government wants to spend. So let's say if you're a woman-owned small business in this territory, The government wants to spend, well, not just this territory, but 5% of $500 billion a year on women-owned certified businesses. Similarly, small disadvantaged businesses, including 8A certified, another 5% of federal contracting spend. Hub zone businesses, 3%. Hub zone stands for historically underutilized business zone. And it is good to note that the entire US Virgin Islands is designated a hub zone. And then service disabled veteran-owned small businesses, another 3%. Next slide. So like anything, before you get into new opportunities, you want to research your market. Contracting officers begin their process by researching, by doing market research. And so obviously as a small business, you would want to approach selling to the government in the same way. Federal government is huge, so target which sectors and agencies are the best fit for your products and services and focus your research efforts there. It can become very overwhelming. So really try to niche who would buy your products and services. All right, next slide. Or know your competition. You're seeing the other, yeah. And then speak the government's language. Many companies use their commercial messaging for government agencies. The same thing that they use for private sector, they use for the public sector, and they hope that it will resonate. Well, it doesn't. The government has entirely different requirements and objectives as versus a commercial buyer. Take time to understand your agency's mission, your agency's goals, and rework your message. So ask yourself the following questions. What are the agency's challenges and needs? And restate that in what you're offering. What does your product or service help the government accomplish? Has anyone else in the government benefited from your offering? So that's your track record. I've worked with so-and-so, I've worked with this agency. Here's how that worked out, get testimonials. And use your small business status and certification and your NAICS codes on every single piece of collateral and your website if you're serious about the government. If you're only going to have one customer, the federal government's a great customer to have. Stress your contracting expertise and your past government experience, whether it be as a prime or sub. And if you don't have that and you're getting in new, stress your track record in the private sector. Proof your messaging for government speak. So instead of things like increase your profits or your company can, you can replace these with more government attuned phrases like meet your agency's small business goals or address constituent needs more effectively. So you got to rework the marketing and the collateral to make sure that you're hitting your audience, that when you're speaking to federal contracting officers, you're speaking their language. Next slide. Let's get to work and submit your bids. You've done all the research, you've checked out your competition, you've zoned in on your marketing niche. Let's get to work and find a promising opportunity and submit your bid. So a few things to remember there. Having lower prices isn't always better. You don't want to, come out at a loss. You really want to do your proper due diligence and put a reasonable price in thing. Having past experience is usually key to successful bidding. Target the agency's needs, goals, and history to demonstrate why your business is the best, and get familiar with doing an oral presentation as part of your bid package. Submitting a bid will officially place your company in consideration for the work contract. And then if you get it, yay. If you don't get it, request a debrief. A debrief helps you to understand why your business won or lost a bid. It is a very powerful tool or opportunity to learn which parts of your marketing and bidding strategy were effective and which needs improvement. And okay, we'll leave it at that. Next slide. All right. So a couple of things have changed in this arena to take advantage of the opportunities published in SAM Contracting Opportunities, and we'll cover that in the next slide. You're required to have an active sam.gov account as well as a cage number. Now, if I had done this presentation last year, number one would say have a DUNS number. Then number two would say sam.gov and number three would say cage. We've done away with, oh, sorry, not done away with. until April 4th, 2022. On April 4th, 2022, we will no longer, to have a federal contract, you'll no longer require a DUNS number. It's just a unique EUE, unique entity identifier. All right. And the move from DUNS numbers to the UEI and the UEI is issued on sam.gov is a federal government-wide initiative. The process started more than 4 years ago, and it's set to conclude on April 4th, 2020. So to register in SAM, SAM stands for the System for Award Management. You go to sam.gov, and this service is free of charge. You just need the time and the patience to go through and do it. And then the commercial and government entity CAGE code, CAGE, is a 5-character ID number used extensively within the federal government, and it's assigned by the Department of Defense Logistics Agency. Next slide. So here's some procurement assistance tools and websites in person. And the first in-person resource is sitting right behind me and will be presenting to this evening. And that is our resource partner, Sbdc. So start, if you're a small business and you're considering federal contracting, start by going to Sbdc, becoming a client and getting free technical and financial advice. You can also call the Federal Service Desk. You can go on www.fsd.gov or call 866-606-8220. And when you call that number, you get a live person who is an expert on registering in SAM. And you can request help from an agent Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then there are marketing resources that are online. So online resources. One, obviously, is the System for Award Management, sam.gov. Oh, we have the Federal Procurement Data System first. All right. So that is the current repository of information on federal contracting. So the system identifies who bought what, who did they buy it from, for how much, when, and where. So that's where you can start to do your research on who might be buying your products or services. Then we talked a little bit about SAM, and I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about it, so I won't belabor the point. But businesses, all businesses wanting to do business with the federal government must be registered in SAM. Now, sam.gov, there was something called BizOps, and that's now sam.gov Contracting Opportunities. And it's within the same website. And when you go there, you can find out where the contract opportunities for the federal government are by geography. Then there is the Dynamic Small Business Search System, DSPS, and that is primarily used by procurement officers to track down and locate qualified government contractors that meet federal small business acquisition needs. And then there are subcontracting opportunities. We spoke about starting in subcontracting before bidding for a prime contract. And you have a website there, albeit very confusing. But, you know, if you can take the time to write it down, it does give, it creates more opportunities. Subcontractors, prime contractors can go here to look for subcontractors to fulfill elements of their work. Next slide. And so here we are. So who do you go to for help locally? And in our in SBA, we have a Puerto Rico and USVI district office. And that is our web page. We're also on Twitter. And even though the Twitter feed says Puerto Rico, it's Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands. I know because I manage the account. So there's always USVI content there. We have 2 business opportunity specialists who are federal contracting experts who are based in Puerto Rico, but frequently do webinars for us here in the USVI. Their names are Eduardo Velez and Mariano Torres, and their information is on there. And then within the USVI, we have Mr. Huddleston on St. Croix, and I'm here on St. Thomas, St. John. And so, you know, email us, call us. If I don't know, I'll put you onto a federal contracting specialist. And then our Sbdc resource partners, and their job is to work with individual small businesses to help them on the journey, whether it's towards access to capital, federal contracting, training and counseling, and anything else that a small business needs to grow, to succeed, and so on. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Lisa. So the next presenter will be Ms. Renee Lais at USDA, but before she starts, I would like to bring up Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, the hostess of this event.
Good evening, everyone. And good evening to all those who are watching via the social media, Facebook. I don't know if it's Facebook, how we're doing this, Zoom, but thank you guys so much who are out there and taking notes. This is, I think, we're really hopeful that this is just going to provide so much information to Virgin Islanders to take advantage of what's available and out there. And of course, as you've seen from our first presenter, wow, that was a lot of great information. Lisa, thank you so much. And I think what's so unique about Ms. Aki now being at SBA is she has been so involved with businesses from the bank that have been trying to get funding, supporting them. And so now being at SBA, I'm just really excited about the opportunity that we have here and the partnerships that all of these agencies have with one another, I think is going to be fantastic. Whether it's from the Economic Development Authority, whether it's from USDA, SBA, you heard about Sbdc, so many agencies that are here to support us. And I want to thank you for being here, taking the time in your evening to support this. We have individuals, as I said, from Small Business Administration, USDA Rural Development Program, the Economic Development Authority, Housing Finance, Property and Procurement, and the Small Business Development Center. Of course, I want to also thank the Antilles School for opening up their home to us to allow us to have use the facility here. So in the past year and a half, Congress has passed transformational legislation with landmark investments to aid the growth of small businesses. And our team decided that we wanted to work really hard to ensure that the Virgin Islands not only received its fair share of the funds to help boost our economy and provide opportunities for growth, but to ensure that our local businesses were able to take advantage of these funds. For the Virgin Islands to prosper, sustainable economic diversification is necessary, and the historic investments that have come about in the past 2 years provide an opportunity to create multiple sources of income from a range of sectors. There's an unprecedented amount of funding that has been made available to small businesses in our territory. Over the past 2 years, as we saw during the COVID pandemic, there was $125 million via the COVID-19 Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Over 1,800 businesses in the Virgin Islands took advantage of that. That's outstanding. And per capita, it seems to be one of the better statistics in the country as well. $76 million via the Paycheck Protection Program for over 1,300 small businesses in the Virgin Islands, and $5.9 million in restaurant grants. Additionally, and specifically related to this evening and today's session, I and my team have worked to bring hundreds of millions of dollars of federal dollars to be spent by our local government on infrastructure and energy projects. For example, under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that was recently passed, everybody calls it the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, we are set to receive more than $95 million over 5 years to rebuild our roads and bridges. Our territory can also compete for $7.5 billion in funding over 5 years for major projects that will deliver substantial economic benefits to our communities. There's a minimum, just a minimum allocation of $25 million to help improve broadband service and to promote broadband adoption and affordability, and $2.5 million to protect against cyber attacks, with a historic $3.5 billion national investment in weatherization to reduce energy costs for families. In the last week and a half, the House and Senate passed our government funding legislation. And for the Virgin Islands, it included $759,000 to purchase forensic equipment for use by the Department of Justice Medical Examiner's Office, $960,000 for the Waste Management Authority to improve residential wastewater collection sewers, $750,000 for improvement to DPNR marine enforcement at Crum Bay on St. Thomas, and that same amount for the pier at Gallows Bay on St. Croix. $1.1 million to the Waste Management Authority to improve treatment facilities across the territory, and $1.2 million for security, municipal water security infrastructure. So there's various funding and ways that you as a small business can take advantage of this and to adapt your business to the needs of the federal government. You know, when you think about roads, there's so many ancillary supports that are going to be needed for that. Construction companies may need back office accounting. They may need payroll support. They may need HR support to try and ramp up and find individuals for those jobs. Just materials, to be a logistics expert and support them in bringing down and shipping costs for so much of the materials that are needed. There are creative ways that your business can fit into this, and that's the focus of today, to really provide you first the tools to ensure that you can compete for these, and then also to ask questions and to be here with the experts to see how your business can take advantage. So I want to thank the presenters again so much for being a part of this evening, and let's continue. And I think that our next, is this Ms. Samuel?
That's going to be Ms. Rena Elias.
Oh, okay. Now we're going to work with someone who has been here in the territory a long time supporting our rural development. People often forget, as you saw under SBA, that the Virgin Islands, the entire territory is considered a hub zone. But for rural development grants, the Department of Agriculture also has support because so much of the Virgin Islands is considered rural. So Ms. Elias?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Congresswoman. Good evening, everyone. Okay, let's share. All right. Okay, once again, thank you and good evening. My name is Rena Elias and I am an area specialist with USDA Rural Development. Rural development is committed to helping improve the economy and the quality of life in rural America. Through our programs, we help rural Americans in many ways. We offer loans, grants, loan guarantees to help create jobs, support economic development, and essential services such as housing, healthcare, first responder services, and equipment, water, electric, communications infrastructure. We also promote economic development by supporting loans to businesses through banks, credit unions, lending pools. We offer technical assistance and information to help agriculture producers and cooperatives get started and improve effectiveness of their operation. We provide technical assistance to help communities undertake community empowerment programs. In addition, we help rural residents buy or rent safe, affordable housing and make health and safety repairs to their homes. The U.S. Virgin Islands have an advantage of being considered an eligible area. So under our program, any program with eligible area requirements, the entire USVI is considered an eligible area. In today's meeting, I'll just be focusing, we have so much programs, so I'll just be focusing on some of our business programs and the distance learning telemedicine program. The first program is the Business and Industry Loan Guarantee Program. The Business and Loan Guarantee Program, the BNI program for short, offers loan guarantees to lenders for their loans to rural businesses. Eligible applicants are for-profits, nonprofits, cooperatives, tribes, public bodies. So the applicant will be the one to select their own lender to process their loan guarantee. The lender will need to have, of course, legal authority, financial strength, sufficient experience to operate a successful lending program. This includes lenders that are subject to supervision and credit examination by applicable agencies of the US government, including federal and state charter banks, savings and loans, farm credit loans, credit unions. The loan guarantee can be used for a list of things here. Business conversion, enlargement, modernization, purchasing, developing land, buildings, purchasing equipment, machinery, debt refinancing when such refinancing improves cash flow and creates jobs. Loan guarantees cannot be used for lender credit, owner occupied or rental housing, golf course, infrastructure, racetracks, churches, etc. The Bni loans approved in fiscal year 2021 received up to 80% loan guarantee. For application processing, the lender with agency concurrence will establish and justify the guaranteed loan terms based on the use of guaranteed loan funds, the useful economic life of the asset being financed, and those used as collateral and the borrower's repayment ability. The loan terms will not exceed 40 years. The interest rates are negotiated between the lender and the borrower. Rates can be fixed or variable. The Bni applications are accepted from lenders year-round with year-round. These are just a list of some of our past awards. See, the most recent one was in 2020. We have quite a few in 2021. Abacus International, Comprehensive Orthopedics, the Tram properties. So Tramway properties. Energy. Under our energy program, we have a lot of other sub-programs. Our energy program offers funding to complete energy audits, provide renewable energy development assistance, make energy efficiency improvement, install renewable energy systems. We have programs that help convert old heating sources to cleaner technologies, produce advanced biofuels, install solar panels, build biorefineries, and much more. Rbdg can provide energy financing with options including grants, loans, guaranteed loans, and payments. The Rural Energy for America program, Renewable Energy System, and Energy Efficiency Improvement Guaranteed Loan and Grant Programs, REAP for short. This program provides guaranteed loan financing and grant funding to agriculture producers, farmers, small businesses for renewable energy systems, or to make energy efficiency improvements. Agricultural producers may also apply for new energy efficiency equipment and new system loans for agriculture production and processing. Eligible applicants are small business, agricultural producers, which are farmers, with at least 50% of their gross income coming from agricultural operations. As a reminder, with the Bni Loan Guarantee Program, the applicant will choose their own lender for the loan guarantee side of it. The applicant can obtain funding of all loan guarantee up to 75% of the total project cost, or they could do grant only funding where the applicant can obtain 25% grant to cover total eligible project costs, just 25% grant now, okay? Or they could do combination, okay? The Renewable Energy System grants minimum is $2,500, maximum $500,000. Energy efficiency grants, minimum is $1,500, max $250,000. And lastly, so go to the next slide here. How can funds be used? Like we mentioned, you can install energy systems or do energy efficiency. Energy systems where solar panels, biomass, wind, large wind solar generations. Energy efficiency include lighting, HVAC, cooling, everything that's listed here. And we could also provide a list to you if you're more interested in the program. These are a listing of some of our past recipients. In the last few years, we haven't had that much, but the earlier years, we have had quite a few. Let's see. The application deadline is coming up, is March 31st. However, if you're only interested in the loan guarantee application or the loan side of it, the application is continuously processed. So you could go to your lender and you could apply directly with them. The next program is the Rural Business Development Grant Program, or Rbdg. This program is designed to provide technical assistance and training for small rural businesses that has fewer than 50 new workers and less than 1 million in gross revenue. USVI's typical allocation is $50,000 for the entire program. Eligible applicants are towns, communities, state agencies, institution of higher education, tribes, cooperatives. The grant application can either be an enterprise grant or opportunity grant. The enterprise grant use is to assist small and emerging businesses. The use of funds can be used for training, technical assistance, business counseling, acquisitions of development of land, easements right away. The opportunity grants can be used for community economic development, technology-based economic development, feasibility studies, business plan, leadership, entrepreneurial training, incubator. The value added, the next program is the value added producers grant. This program helps agriculture producers such as farmers enter into value added activities related to processing, marketing of new products. The goal of this program is to generate new products, create and expand marketing opportunities, and increase producer income. For example, if you're a farmer and you grow peppers, you could start your business and move it forward, and you could use this grant to do hot sauce if you want to market that, or seasonings. So this is a very cool program. Funds can be used for working capital or planning. Examples of planning activities include conducting feasibility studies, developing business plans. Examples of working capital expenses include processing costs, marketing and advertising expenses, inventory, salaries. An applicant may submit only one application in response to the solicitation. The maximum grant amount for planning grants are $75,000, and for working capital, $250,000. Matching funds may be in the form of cash or in-kind contributions. Typically, matching funds requirement is at least $1 for every dollar in grant funds provided by the agency. However, with the COVID relief fund, $2.75 million was set aside that can be used to reduce the cost share match requirement of 10% of the grant amount. This program is currently open. The paper application deadline is May 2nd. The electronic application via grant.gov's deadline is April 25th. And you could visit our website for more information on how to apply, or you could just email us directly and we could send you an application. The next program is our telecommunication loan and grant, falls under our telecommunication loan and grant program, which is the Distance Learning and Telemedicine Grant, DLT for short. This program basically helps rural communities use unique capabilities of telecommunication to connect to each other and to the world, overcoming the effects of remoteness and low population density. For example, this program can link teachers and medical services providers in one area to students and patients in another. For board programs, eligible applicants include most entities that provide education or healthcare through telecommunication, including states, local government, tribes, nonprofit, for-profits. Grant funds can be used for acquisition of capital assets, broadband facilities, audio, video, interactive equipment, computer hardware, wiring, also acquisition of instructional programming, and also acquisition of technical assistance and instruction for use of eligible equipment. The grant award can range from $50,000 to $1 million. Grant-only funds are awarded through nationally competitive process. Although the program has a 15% match requirement, USVI is exempt from that 15% match requirement. The application window is expected to be fall 2022. Now, this slide is a list of some of our past recipients for the DLT. And if you want overall overview of all of our programs, you could visit our website and click on programs and services, and it will take you to all of our programs. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Congresswoman's office for including us and putting this expo together. Thank you so much. And if the listeners have any questions or would like to reach out to us, our contact information is listed. Phone number, email, point of contact is myself or Area Director Bryce. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rena. And I hope you can stick around a little bit for questions at the end.
Of course, of course.
Right, thank you. All right, so next presenter, we'll have Ms. Monique Samuel with the VI Economic Development Authority. Go ahead, Monique.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, Congresswoman Plaskett and staff. Thank you for extending invite to the Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority to provide information on funding opportunities available to small businesses operating or intend to operate here within the territory. In 2014, the Economic Development Bank was enacted by law to assume the functions of the Government Development Bank and the Small Business Development Agency. The EDB provides, for short of Economic Development Bank, EDB provides loans to existing and startup businesses, thereby creating and maintaining jobs in the territory, and is responsible for credit administration of its loan portfolio. We have several loan programs that are specifically available to small contractors or individuals in need of a line of credit or a term loan to facilitate their project, whether it be a bond or you're a subcontractor under a main contractor. We have our microcredit loan program that could provide a maximum of $50,000. Our development loan program that can go up to $500,000. In fact, this program came about when Congresswoman Plaskett was our general counsel back prior to 2012. And she was responsible for assisting us with preparing or developing the program policy underneath the development loan program. We also have our small business development loan program that provides financing up to $100,000. Our economic development administration loan program up to $75,000. And our intermediary relending loan program up to $100,000. The intermediary relending loan program is funding that we receive from the USDA. one of the programs that Ms. Ilias mentioned in her presentation prior. We also have our state small business credit initiative program that provides strictly loan guarantees to banks within the territory. Our microcredit loan program, as I mentioned, the maximum we could provide in financing is $50,000. The maximum term allowed under this program is 5 years. The interest rate is fixed at 5%. And we do have eligibility requirements for our programs, and to be eligible for a microcredit loan program, an applicant must be born in the US Virgin Islands or a US citizen or legal permanent resident of the Virgin Islands 5 years immediately preceding the application for a loan. For our development loan program, we have a range that the lowest that we could provide in financing is $10,000, maximum $500,000. Our loan term maximum under this program is 10 years. Interest rate is based on the Wall Street Journal prime rate plus 1.5% over prime. And to be eligible for this program, the applicant must provide verification that they were born in the US Virgin Islands or a US citizen or legal permanent resident and a resident of the Virgin Islands for at least 5 years preceding the application for a loan. And also there are restrictions on this program. If your business has more than 50 employees, then you do not meet the eligibility. But if you have less than 50 employees and your revenues do not exceed $5 million, you are eligible for this program. Our eligibility requirement is based strictly on small businesses. We do not provide financing to businesses that exceed $5 million in gross revenue, or they have a set amount of employees. Anything outside of that changes our size requirement, and that is a financing for a bank outside of the Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority. Our small business development loan program, the maximum we could provide under this program is $100,000. The maximum term that we can not exceed is 15 years. Again, our interest rate is based on the Wall Street Journal prime rate plus 1.5%. To be eligible under this program, the applicant must be born in the US Virgin Islands or his or her mother or father was born in the US Virgin Islands and he has been a bona fide continuous resident of the Virgin Islands for at least 5 years. Or he has been a bona fide continuous resident of the US Virgin Islands for at least 10 years. And this is exactly as quoted by law. If the business is owned by 2 or more persons, one of the owner must be active in management or operation of such business concern, and this should be their principal means of support. The revenues of the business cannot exceed $3 million and would not employ more than 50 persons. Another program that we have is our Economic Development Administration Loan Program, which we cannot exceed $75,000. These funds were awarded to us by the Department of Commerce, and so we must follow within the parameters of the program. And our loan term cannot exceed 15 years, and our terms are based on, for this program, as well as our small business development program, our terms are based on the collateral that is being pledged for financing. The interest rate is also based on the Wall Street Journal prime rate plus 1.5%, and the business should not have more than 500 employees, should have 500 employees or less, and we cannot extend support to borrowers that have more than 750 employees. Our intermediary relending loan program, again, the maximum we can provide financing is $100,000. Our loan term cannot exceed 15 years. And one of the eligibility requirements are the gross sales cannot exceed $1 million annually. And the interest rate is based on the Wall Street Journal prime rate plus 1.5% over prime. And the loan recipient must be a US citizen or a green card holder. And this is quoted exactly the way the memorandum of authorization was granted to us by Rural Development. Just like any other lender, the standard application requirements, we do require a business plan. And if whether or not it's an existing business or a startup, We do look for financial projections, at least 3 years. And we also have our own loan application, which can be found online, or once you're in contact with us, we can provide that loan application to you. And if you're an existing business, we expect at least 3 years of tax returns. If you have only been in business for a year, then you will provide us whatever the business have, a year worth of taxes. If not, you could provide us your in-house financial statements. And if you're using the funds to purchase inventory or however you're using it, we do require quotes to support the loan proceeds. Is for an existing business, we look for a business license. It is understood if you're a startup or you're in the process of starting a business, you are in the process of applying for a business license. And you can provide us verification of the application you have in process with the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs if you're in a process of establishing a business. And if you're a corporation or LLC, we do look for your registered corporate documents. If you're a sole proprietor, you can provide your trade name as well as any other documents you have specific to your business. If you're an existing business or you've already entered into a lease agreement, we do require a copy of the lease. If not, you're a startup or interested in actually going into business, you only need to provide us with a letter of intent to lease. That means that you can have a discussion with the landlord. The landlord can provide you whatever is being negotiated. The landlord can provide a letter indicating what is being negotiated in terms of the lease, the monthly rate, and also a template of the lease agreement. There's no demands for you to enter into a lease agreement if you're starting your application process with us. And also we look for collateral, and collateral could include developed or undeveloped real estate, acceptable business assets, if you have a taxi medallion, or if there are challenges in the area of collateral, I always suggest that you ask a question and not be deterred because you may not meet all of the standard application requirement for financing. Leave that determination up to the lender. And of course, we are a secondary lender, which means that we cannot provide direct financing. We come into place after the applicant or the business has been rejected by a bank. So if you have been declined by a local bank, that is where you can that is when you can start your application process at the Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority, with the exception of our microcredit loan program. Our microcredit loan program did not stipulate that we must have a decline letter. So all our other programs is a must, with the exception of the microcredit loan program. The funds can be used to purchase machinery, equipment, inventory, materials, tools, supplies. If you are in need of working capital to cover operating expenses, that includes payroll, utilities, anything that is specific to the business, it is an eligible use. If you're interested in expanding your business, whether it's a storefront, you want to take it to an online presence, those are some of the ways we can use our monies to assist, or even starting up a business. And as mentioned earlier, we can use our funds to support a line of credit or a term loan. Credit is also crucial. We do pull a credit report, and our credit report, we do not look at credit scores, we look at the credit individually. So if, for example, you have if you are thinking that you have a credit score of 540 and you may not be eligible, leave that determination up to the lender. We do not look at credit scores, but we look at the credit in detail, line by line. There's also an application fee of $150. And if the loan is approved and the applicant has accepted the terms and conditions of the that is outlined in our commitment letter, there's a 1% fee of the approved amount. And this fee can also be deducted from the loan, from the financing. So less out of pocket. And these are just some of the agencies that we continue to partner with, or we have partnered with in the past. The DBA program, which is a disadvantaged business enterprise. We are currently managing a energy loan program for the Virgin Islands Energy Office. We work in conjunction with the Small Business Development Center. And we also work in conjunction with the Department of Agriculture, Housing Finance Authority. We work closely with Small Business Administration, USDA, with Ms. Elias and her team, as well as the corporate UVI's cooperative extension services. There are also another program that is very near and dear to us. This is what we really rely on to provide support to the small businesses through the banks here in the territory. Back in 2010, under the Obama administration, the Virgin Islands was awarded $13.1 million to provide loan guarantees to the banks. And to this date, we have loaned $13 million. We have a little under $1 million remaining. And with this program, we can provide collateral support up to 50% of the loan amount at the participating lender. And the participating lender are the banks here within the territory: Oriental Bank, Banco Popular, First Bank, Merchants Commercial, and Fidelity Bank, which is also known to us here in the Virgin Islands as Bank of St. Croix. We can also provide a payment, surety, and performance bond up to 30% of the bond request. And this is to provide guarantees for small contractors to enable them to bid on larger projects. So you can stand side by side with the other larger contractors. Under this program, we could use them funds to, in conjunction with the participating lender, we could provide funds for startup costs, working capital, business procurement, equipment, inventory, as well as the purchase of construction, construction, renovation, or tenant improvements of an eligible place of business that is not for passive real estate investment purposes. The term and interest rate is left to the participating lender. And again, the participating lender in this case is the banks that are established here within the territory. And the lenders make the determination as to whatever the interest rate is, the terms, how you can use the funds, and the EDA comes in as a guarantor on those monies loaned from the bank. So the applicant is the client of the bank, and the bank is EDA's client. And any business that is eligible to operate here in the Virgin Islands, such as a sole proprietor, partnership limited, LLCs, or corporations, are eligible under this program. We cannot provide funding or support to nonprofit organizations. And that is Treasury's ruling, and not the EDAs. I know many of you have been hearing about funding that the territories was awarded. I think several weeks ago, there was, or maybe a month or two ago, there was an article in a paper that spoke about the Virgin Islands receiving $57+ million. Congresswoman Plaskett mentioned a list of funds that will be coming to the Virgin Islands or has already been awarded to the Virgin Islands. And the Virgin Islands has submitted their application for the State Small Business Credit Initiative Program. Congress has reauthorized this program. They have reauthorized $10 billion, and these monies will be distributed between the states, the territories, tribal government. And so we have submitted our application as of February 11th. That application is currently under review. And the governor has designated the Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority to administer the loan guarantee program. Again, these funding, as Congresswoman Plaskett mentioned, is funding for the territory. So we had to request the authorization from Governor Bryan to administer this program. Once the application has been finalized by Treasury, we will begin to roll out or market this program. What we intend on doing is meeting with the business community in different forums. We meet with the lenders. We'll be meeting with other agencies and other partners so that we can get their input there to assist us in making sure that we are ready to roll out these funds, and that everyone will be able to benefit from this program. Our intentions as well is to work with the Small Business Development Center and other agencies to assist again with disseminating the information or assisting businesses with applying for these funds. Thank you. Our contact information for the St. Thomas office, we're located in 8000 Niski Shopping Center, and our telephone number in St. Thomas is 714-1700, area code 340. And for St. Croix, we're located in number 4 King Street in Frederickstead, and our contact number on St. Croix is 340-773-6499. My name is Monique Samuel. Again, I'm the Managing Director for the Economic Development Bank. You can reach me at mtsamuel@usvieda.org, or you can send a general inquiry to info@usvieda.org, or directly to EDB loan application @usvieda.org. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Monique. And I don't know if you heard it, Congresswoman Plaskett give you a big shout out as being her former co-worker. So she's here yelling in the background. You can't hear it since she doesn't have the mic on her right now, but she gave you a big, a nice big up there. She just yelled again too. All right, next to the stage, from the VA Housing Finance Authority, we have Mr. Darren Richardson.
Good evening, everyone. Special thank you to Congresswoman Plaskett, staff. Say good evening to y'all, and thank you, audience, for being here. My name is Darren Richardson. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Okay, thank you. One of the things I want to speak to tonight, not really about programs. I don't have a formal presentation. I want to move it and shift a little bit to opportunities. I'd like to give thanks to Congresswoman Plaskett and her staff. When we embarked on we were picked to lead the CDBG disaster recovery with the agency for that recovery. She was instrumental in helping us at the territory to obtain $1.9 billion in funding. I couldn't even imagine when we start talking in billions. Before that, we were, $10,000 was a lot to us to just move around. But thank you once again, Congresswoman Plaskett, and your efforts. One of the things this $1.9 billion in funding that we have would allow us to do is a lot of unmet needs in housing, infrastructure, and economic revitalization. Doing business with the authority is not difficult at all. Minimum requirements include having a business license, having insurance, and having some experience. And that could be gained a number of different ways, either through you having staff on there with experience, or if you're a new business, doing a joint venture. One of the goals is to keep a lot of these dollars in the territory. We really have so much money we don't have enough people here and businesses here to actually spend all this money. But that don't mean we can't try. I'm a big proponent of this. We even come to the forefront where we even offer a lot of our contractors mobilization payments. So that initial payment to get you off the ground, to keep moving on whatever contract you get from us, we usually would pay a mobilization payment. As a Congresswoman alluded to earlier, we have to be creative in ways to get this. We have a lot of contractors here, great contractors. They're good in the field. When it comes to the back office, oh my gosh. But, that's not a problem. That's an opportunity. There's opportunity for bookkeepers, opportunity for our back office staff, phone calls, make sure the invoices are in, all those kind of things. We have a need for people who are to do environmental services. Somebody has to go in and do some testing. Those are things that you could get certified in. You could do, some of the stuff that we're going to need locally. All this construction, going to need somebody not just to manage, but safety oversight. So OSHA, people to do some OSHA stuff, professional services, architectural, engineering services. These are things that you could joint venture, start a company. You may not be the lead architect, the engineer, but that's something you could just bring people together. You could start the business here, subcontract to people stateside. That's another way to build capacity. The biggest thing the biggest issue, one of the biggest issues facing us is capacity. And I just think of creative ways every day of how can we get a local business involved in what we're doing in this recovery. So one of the things that we have online, before HUD would give us this $1.9 billion, I just like saying it, is we have to have an action plan, approved action plan. We do have that in place for DR funds, which was approximately about 800 million. Another 700 million is going to be mitigation funds. That's where a lot of opportunity is there for economic development, housing, infrastructure, for businesses. Everything from nonprofit to for-profit businesses. One of the things you should do is go online to our website, vihfa.gov, just hfa.gov. If you want to, go to our disaster recovery. We have the action plans on there. It's lengthy. If you want to call a little over 100 pages lengthy, which is not, but it spells out exactly who will be eligible and what will be eligible. This is where you get creative. When you write in a grant and you see a grant opportunity, all you have to do, I call it wordsmithing. You just find a creative way to get your point across. We're going to have opportunities locally to provide. We have a big need in homeless shelters. There's a need for somebody to produce. I think there's $10 million set aside for homeless shelters. You could be creative. You don't have to be a contractor. You could go out and find those businesses to work with you to provide that service. So there'll be opportunity in, stuff like homeless shelters that we set aside. Economic development. What does that mean? It could mean a myriad of things. You could be very creative in those ways. So what I encourage you is to take a look at our website, read the CDBG DR action plan that we have currently. We are working on the mitigation action plan. We're waiting, we're trying to get that approved within maybe the next 90 days. The opportunities that are in there, like I said, these are opportunities that I think is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This can help establish your business, grow your business, and grow partnerships. This could be a real economic boom to us in the territory, or it is going to be. We just need to be part of the economic boom. In closing, I'd just like to thank Congresswoman Plaskett, her office, for actually extending the invitation and putting on this wonderful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren. Before I bring up Ms. Lisa Alejandro for Property and Procurement and her team, I'd like to recognize Lenoy Freeman and Monique Richards from Banco Popular, and I think Monique will give us a short presentation.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to be at an event that will help stimulate the economic growth within the USVI territory. Thank you, Congresswoman Plaskett. I think this is an awesome initiative, and I hope a lot of our business clients within the community, they're able to capitalize on the information that's being shared today by all of the agencies. I do have a short presentation that I'm going to provide that will give you some information on the access to capital that we provide at Popular. Next slide. Next. Okay. Financing opportunities. When it comes to accessing capital, the banks in the community are here to provide financing for things such as leasehold improvements, equipment, inventory, application, website development, working capital, marketing efforts, and ways to expand your business. Like Darren just said, there's different opportunities throughout the community for bookkeepers, accountants, specialists, and financing can be available at any form of business from start to medium to the avid business consultant within our community. Next slide. Types of financing that we provide are short-term loans, commercial term loans, revolving line of credits, non-revolving line of credits, letters of credits, and we also provide credit cards for small businesses as well as corporate accounts. As it pertains to short-term financing, short-term financing provides temporary cost coverage. It covers temporary non-recurring financial needs for more than 100,000 of more than 100,000. Then we also have for special purposes. When it comes to short-term financing, loans are offered in terms of 1 year or less, and they rely on a specific purpose for cash flow. Now, when we look at specific purpose for cash flow, we're looking at things like working capital needs in general. For example, if you have a government contract, we're able to provide working capital to allow you to be able to meet your payroll costs when you're still pending receivables from your government contract. At times, you may get a contract and your receivables is out maybe 90, maybe 120 days. And the bank is here to provide short-term financing that you can access for working capital needs during that time while you await financing, await your payments. Next slide. Long-term loans. As it pertains to long-term loans, this is anything that's more than 12 months. So if you're looking to purchase heavy equipment, the heavy equipment is an asset that you'll have to pay over a long period of time. You may need maybe 3 years, 4 years, or a little bit longer to make payments. We provide long-term loans for construction. If you're in the middle of building a new building for an Airbnb, or if you have a commercial building for rental space that you would need financing for, or if you want to just expand your current operations and need leasehold improvements, we can provide long-term financing for that purpose.
Next slide.
Line of credits. Now, we have different types of line of credits. We have the non-revolving line of credit, which allows you to cover short-term recurrent operational costs, and credit lines revolving instruments that are due every 12 months. This can be if you have a contract with the government, say for example, the contract is for 180 days. We can give you a non-revolving line of credit that you can utilize for the period of that 180 days. And at the end of that period, once you receive payment from that job, the line of credit will be repaid in full. Then there's revolving line of credit needs. This is renewed on an annual basis. So you'll have a line of credit, say for example, if you have a retail operation, we can give you a line of credit, say maybe $50,000. Whenever you need to buy inventory during slow season, you can do draws on your line of credit and then repay that when your inventory is sold. And that would be the purpose of the revolving line of credit. Then there's letters of credit. A letter of credit is a product that allows you, the applicant, to request payment of an instrument based on the terms and conditions between yourself and the provider. For example, if you have a government contract, there's times that the government may request that you have a surety bond. These surety bonds can be secured by a letter of credit. A letter of credit can also be used if you're purchasing heavy equipment from a company, say for example, they're in New York. A letter of credit is basically a letter that the bank would state once that heavy equipment arrives in the territory in the condition that you specified by the seller. Once it arrives in perfect condition, the bank will then send the payment to the seller. This product is one that's not used as frequent, but it's there for the protection of both the buyer and the seller, especially when you're engaging in new contracts, new relationships that you're not familiar with. Okay. Then we get down to the application process. Being in the Caribbean or in the territory, we find a lot of persons say, the banks don't lend. The process is too lengthy. They're asking too much. And a lot of times it takes preparation, organization. As some of the presenters before me spoke, they talked about the importance of having a good accounting system, having a good accountant, a good bookkeeper to keep your financial statements up to date. The bank is looking to see that you have, for contractors, we want to make sure that you have current financial information. We do know that from 2017 to present, your financial situation may have been a little bit volatile. And as such, we're looking at future cash flow. We want to be able to see that you have a current work in hand report, which is going to tell us of all the existing projects that you're currently doing and the status of where your payments are with each project. We want to be able to see your aging of your receivables. How much money do you have outstanding? How many days it's going to take before you get these payments back based on your different contracts? We also want to see how frequently you're making your payments on your bills. What's your aging of your payables? Are you taking at least 30 days to make payment? Are you taking at least 60 days, 90 days to make payment? These are things that is very important for the bank to know when coming as a contractor, especially with accessing the Sbdc funds. If you want to get the access to that as a contractor, those are key things. We want to be able to see a copy of the contract, because if we're going to provide you a line of credit, we want to see the terms that you have, the conditions that you have, so that we can structure that facility to be able to assist you during your time of need. On average, we ask for a business plan. If you're new in business, we want to be able to see what's your venture going to look like for the next few years. Your business plan would have projections so that we can analyze that. If you're an existing operation, we want to see your historical financial statements. That's why it's very important to be organized, speak with your accountant, speak with your bookkeeper, speak with your CPA, and have proper financial statements. There are times based on the dollar amount that you're borrowing, the bank may request either audited financial statements, reviewed financial statements, or compilations. So it is important to always have current financial statements on board. Having your corporate documents, making sure that you're renewing your business license on time, making sure that you're paying your taxes on time, that you don't have any tax liens. These are things that are very, very important in the application process. You can always visit any of our branches and request a commercial checklist that will provide you some details. But general rule of thumb, have your financial statements in order. Make sure you have your current business license. If you're a contractor, aging of receivables and payables, work in hand, and a copy of the contract that you've been awarded. Next. How to make your application stronger. Be able to explain your track record. I think one of the presenters before me explained that it's important to make sure if you have experience in this field, let us know about your experience. Let us know what your potential is for your business operations. Be precise on your use of funds. When coming to the bank, you're not going to say, oh, I need $1 million. You're going to let us know, okay, I need $1 million. Some of that is for equipment. Some of that is for working capital. You have to be specific and be precise. Projections and assumptions are important. If you're providing projections to say, okay, my business is a new business venture. I heard there's access to all of these funds. I think I can launch and this is going to be a success. Make sure your assumptions are included in your plan. That is very, very important. Include the proposed bank debt. If you're anticipating on having a loan in order to fulfill your venture, include the proposed bank debt in your calculations. Make sure you also include the interest when you're doing those calculations in your financials. Have a conversation with your accountant. Let your accountant know this is my plan for my business. They can provide the guidance to you to be able to assist with that. Tax percent rate. We see a lot of business plans, they come with projections and they forget they have to pay taxes. And within 1, 2 to 3 years, they're in the commercial reporter, they have a tax lien, they haven't been able to pay their taxes, they didn't anticipate taxes would be so much. It is important to definitely include your tax percent rate when you're including your assumptions. Have notes to your financial statements. When your accountant's preparing, have them explain in your financial statement what's happening with the business. If there was a major change in the business that affected your numbers, these are things that should be included. And as time passes, modify your assumptions. If you notice things are changing, we all know that gas prices went up. So how you projected your financials last week, they're definitely different this week when it comes to gas prices. So we are here as a bank to be able to assist any commercial client that's interested. But all we need is for our commercial clients to be organized. Get with accountants, get with your appraisers, get with anyone that's involved in your business process to make a plan, stick to a plan, and execute a plan. Next. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My contact information is available on the slides. I am available in the St. Thomas office at the Altoona branch. Thank you.
Thank you, Monique. And I also have to apologize to Monique. In one of our early meetings, Kimi Bryce for USDA said, hey, make sure you invite the banks. And so thank you very much for that presentation because you covered quite a bit of ground for the banks there. So next up, we will have Lisa Alejandro, and she's Assistant Commissioner of Property and Procurement, and she'll introduce her team members. And just hang 1 second as we adjust the podium just a little bit. If you can just turn the mic.
Yes, that's fine. Okay, it's fine. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Certainly a pleasure for us to be here this evening. So we want to thank Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett for inviting us We think that this initiative is very important. And it's important for us. We are excited because there's a lot of money coming into the territory. The central government, the government in its entirety is beneficiaries of those funds. So we want to spend some money. We don't want any monies going back. We don't want to be our territory to be left in any condition. That is not pleasant. And I believe that is why all of the efforts to rally for this territory and to get contractors on board is very, very important. So we thank you on behalf of Commissioner Thomas and the entire team. We really want to thank you tonight, and we appreciate being here. Just before our presentations tonight, I was so happy to hear the other presenters talk about all of the opportunities that is out there for small businesses, which of course, our territory, a large majority of our contractors and those that do business with the government are classified as small business. And so the fact that we have so many opportunities, I was so glad to hear that tonight from USDA as well. We presented in regards to Housing Finance Authority. We heard from various sections of SBA tonight, and all these funds that are available. I think it's very important for us, again, to invest, to engage the community on these opportunities. And so with hearing that, I thought with Banco Popular, I wanted to say that you sound like the central government. You sound like the central government, and the challenges that we have with vendors providing and keeping those documents current, because we are in it to do business with you, and at the end of it, to pay you for the services rendered. And so as we discuss a few things tonight, we are like Housing Finance Authority. We're coming from the side where the government needs your business. The government needs your engagement. And in order to do that, we're going to discuss just a few points tonight, but they're very important points and very important steps that contractors or businesses must take in order to be successful at winning bids or even to be awarded contracts with the government. Thank you. So basically, we'll begin with our first slide, which we will mention to you tonight that the first step any contractor or business must take in order to be awarded a bid or contract with the central government is that you must register in GVI BI. Do you need a minute? Okay, thank you. So GVI BI, it's the new e-procurement system of the government. It's important that we mention this to you tonight because every opportunity, every business or procurement acquisition will be hosted in our new e-procurement system, which is GVI BI, and it's powered by Periscope Holding Company. In last month, February 20th, the department went live, Property and Procurement went live with bidding. All our bidding modules are now active and live. And so in order to have an opportunity at the table, you must be registered in GVI BI. It is a full suite e-procurement system. And when the department and we were thinking about leadership was thinking about how do we engage our contractors, how do we build stakeholder relationships? How do we foster competition in a larger pool? How do we present or even begin to advertise the offerings and the opportunities that the government has? The one thing that was far reaching at the time for us was that we were paper driven. And so realizing that if we have to reimagining if we want to reach the greater populace, even here in our territory, we have to utilize multiple sources of media. And so investing in GVI BI, it's a full suite. And we like to say it's from rec to check, means that from the moment that needs arise, And those services solicited, the end process will result with us paying the contractor or that business for services rendered from rec to check. So you must be registered in GVI BY to get an opportunity with the government. It's important that you would view the government solicitation. So while tonight you may not be registered with the government, there's still opportunity, there's still time to register. And we have all the assistance on board within our vendor maintenance division at the Department of Property and Procurement that has been assisting bidders with Gov registration. I want to say that they are probably the experts. I really want to say that because from the moment we've begun to reimagine procurement in the territory, our vendor maintenance team have been working with the federal agencies on registering companies, registering government entities. And I want to say that we were successful in probably assisting more than 200 local companies in registration in SAMS.gov. And so again, it's important if you're not a registered bidder tonight, you can do so by visiting our website at dpp.bi.gov. On that website, you will be able to see opportunities as well. But in order to bid, you must be again registered in GVI BY. You must ask general questions. When in doubt, ask questions. Don't be afraid to contact us at any time, email us. Those website, our email addresses are there to assist you again in doing business with the government. Next slide. GVI BY, this is just a screenshot of what it looks like. And like we've mentioned, for us, it was about envisioning a sustainable product that is able to assist through innovation, continuous improvement, as well as stakeholder relations. It was very important for us, again, for innovation and continuous improvement, only because of COVID and those things, disasters that took place within our territory, that we have the opportunity to be flexible enough and agile enough to perform the services, to award contracts and solicit goods for the government. So again, register in GVI BY. The first thing we're going to talk about really tonight as we address and assist our business community with bidding on contracts is that you must know your business. All right. And I think a lot of oftentimes we seek opportunities, businesses seek opportunities only because it's there. It appears to be a large project. I can get rich with one project, right? And so oftentimes they leave the competition feeling disappointed that they were not awarded bids or given contracts. And so we find that some of them get discouraged. We may not see them at the table again, but it is important, again, in order to have that opportunity, you must know your business. Knowing your business means that, first of all, you must register, you must know and be sure of the commodities that you provide. And the benefit of GVI BY is that within the GVI BY system, we have provided a list of all the NIG codes, and we actually use them within the GVI BY system. What it allows the contractors or anyone that seeks to do business with the government to do is to be able to register under all of the commodity codes that are available. And why is this important? It's important because when opportunities arise, you will be the first to know. Notifications will be sent to you via email, advising you that here, we believe that your business may qualify for this government opportunity. Again, you must know your business size and capacity. I think the presenter before me talked about that. It's important that you know your business size. It's important because all projects are basically time. There's terms, there's conditions. You must have the staffing, you must have the qualifications in order to complete that project on time and within budget. So again, know your business size and capacity. Bid on the right opportunities. When you know your business, you're very selective in those opportunities in which you submit proposals for. You're very selective, and the chances of you being awarded and winning that bid is much more higher than bidding outside of your scope of services. So again, you must bid on the right opportunities, but first you got to know your business. Know the local requirements for doing business in the Virgin Islands, especially within your industry. If it's construction, then you know you must be acclimated to all of the requirements that DPNR. Get familiar with the agencies within that industry that you would have to acquire licensings and permits and those, again, types of corporate documents. Again, it's very important. Know your business, register the right commodity codes, know your capacity to complete projects. And I just want to go back on that one and say, when we bid on projects and are unable to successfully complete those projects, it affects your references, it affects your performance on those projects, and a large majority, I think it's the highest probably rated on any evaluation criteria on the performance that you've provided on past projects and your references tied to those projects. So it's very important, again, that you know your business size and commodity. Keep your corporate documents current. I think I heard that a little earlier from several of our presenters. Corporate documents. It speaks to your responsibleness as a contractor. And as well as it speaks to your performance, oftentimes. Again, know your business. Next slide. Solicitation types. The government of the Virgin Islands have 3 solicitation types. In the past, we utilized just 2 forms of solicitations, which was our IFB, most of you know, invitation for bids, and then the RFP process. But most recently, we had proposed legislation to change a large majority of those, a large majority of the procurement processes that existed at the Department of Property and Procurement, and we've aligned them with the federal, the FAR. So if you're familiar with the federal regulations, then again, this should be there should be no trouble for you being able to bid and knowing the requirements of procurement here in the territory. The IFB, of course, is competitive. All of our processes are by competition. As you know, competition is the hallmark of procurement. It allows us to get best value, and as well as it drives costs down. So again, invitation for bid, it's a competitive sealed bidding process in which awards are made to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, right? We talked about lowest does not mean good value. So again, we determined that by looking at how responsive that vendor was. How did you submit your package? Was it in accordance with the requirements within the solicitation? Did you follow the guidelines? Did you submit all of the documents that were required to make you responsive? Being responsive is important because it gets you to the table. Right? And at the table, you have an opportunity to be successful. So again, IFB, lowest responsive, responsible bidder. And the RFP process, again, another competitive and negotiable process in which cost is not the determining factor. And then the RFP process is one that says, hey, the government, we know what we want, but we want you to propose to us what the best avenue to achieve our need. And so it may mean that in the process, we may have discoveries. And so we move on, we may have oral presentations and other type of negotiable or discussions which are allowable under the RFP process. This is unlike the IFB, where it's solely based on the lowest responsive, responsible bidder. When we look at the request for qualification, this is something new to the territory as it relates to the central government. Knowing and anticipating the disaster recovery projects that was coming into the territory, we knew we had to look at the way we evaluate bids much more closer. And so to be able to do our design build processes, our design build projects, utilizing the request for qualifications allow us to simplify the pool and really get those contractors to the table who have the qualifications to provide the services that we need. It is also a competitive and negotiable process. So again, the IFB, RFP, and RFQ processes. All right, so make your business, make your bids count. We want to get you at the table. The government needs your business, all right, to function. And so we need you to ensure that your bid count. How does your bid count? As a bidder, you must read your instructions. It's very important to read your instructions. You gotta know who, what, when, where, how, in what format. So that's important. You would find those in your instruction to bidders, right? It is outlined and in bold in the RFPs or IFBs in every solicitation. You must read your bid proposals. You must prepare and submit all of the required forms, all attachment, all addendas, whatever that RFP request or ask for, be certain to submit them. Again, this speaks to the responsive side of a solicitation. Ensure you are clear about the requirements that is being asked. Ensure that you understand in detail, you have a clear understanding of the scope of work. Again, it speaks to responsiveness. Pay attention to the date and the time when bids and proposals are due. So just for instance, we just went live on GVI buy. And so we had the bid dates, the terms set up in there, and about 2 days into the solicitation, a bidder submitted a bid. And right after that, we had several amendments. Well, what are the chances of that bidder being awarded a bid? Not at all. I would not even say slim, not at all. Why? Because they did not pay attention to the time and the date of when those bids were due. So again, if you want to sit at the table, make your bid count. Read the statement of work. Ask questions when in doubt. All right, submit those questions, but you must be aware of the periods in which the question and answer phase would allow you to do so. You must fill out all the forms, the attachments, exhibits, etc. Submit all required licensing, corporate documents, bonding. Do they sound familiar? Insurances. I think we've heard most of these all night. Non-collusion affidavits. Fill them out and submit them. Make your bid count. If the solicitations ask for it, submit it. All right? Gives us a much better opportunity of winning those bids. Right? Next slide. Common errors. Common errors. Submission of bid proposals, and this is for our vendors, of course, those that do business with the government. These are some of the things that we find all the time recurring at the table. Incorrect bid numbers. The IFB's numbers are incorrect. They're submitted to the wrong addresses, right? E-addresses, they're submitted at the wrong time, and therefore you have missed several amendments, not allowing you to be responsive to the solicitation. Errors discovered during the evaluation of bid. Discrepancies between unit costs and quantities, total costs. So what did we say? Based on the law, our regulations, the unit costs prevails. right? So right away, you have been disqualified from the bidding process. Incomplete bid sheets, unable to determine total costs. And again, some bids are submitted and we're unable to read those numbers or to determine what the total cost is in comparison with the total costs of other bidders. So again, if we want our bids to count, we must ensure to follow the instruction, know the when, the where, the what, the why, and to whom all those bids should be submitted. And we're going to talk a little bit about, now we're going to go into, Attorney Moranci is going to present for us a little bit about those documents that we talked about a little bit earlier. But again, most bids are rejected because they fail to be responsive, all right? So I'm gonna call CLC Moranci. This is our Chief Legal Counsel, and she is the one that has the pleasure of reviewing those corporate documents. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Magdalene Moranci. I'm Chief Counsel at the Department of Property and Procurement. And a large part of my responsibility at the department, along with my team, is reviewing contract packages, reviewing corporate documents before those things go through the process for final approval and legal sufficiency approval as well. So this slide actually has some common errors that also affect a bidder's ability to have a seat at the table. And of course, you don't want to discount yourself or disqualify yourself before the race starts, right? And so it's very important to pay attention to some of the things that might trip you up and prevent you from actually having a seat at the table. Because with all the opportunities available in the territory right now, we really want our local contractors to be able to participate. So this will be available, but these are just some extra common errors that I will not belabor you with. We will jump into just talking about some of the business documents. So when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, right? So many of our presenters tonight have discussed the idea of you having your corporate documents in order. It goes to you being seen as responsive. It also goes to you being seen as responsible, whether you actually meet the qualifications and the criteria to perform this job. And when you think of things like, paying your taxes on time, filing certain documents with the Lieutenant Governor's office on time so that you're in good standing, it speaks volumes about you as a contractor, right? It helps with your track record. It speaks to your ability with your past performance and things of that nature. So at DPP, whenever we think of the corporate documents for a business, we always think of it in terms of fundamentals. So first of all, you have to legally exist. And in order to do that, if you're a corporation, you have to file your articles of incorporation, LLC, limited liability company, you got to file your articles of organization, etc. So long as you take the form of a legal entity other than a sole proprietor or a general partnership, you will have to file documents with the Lieutenant Governor's office to come into existence. So that's going to be part of the documentation you submit when you actually register with GVI BI, register to get your vendor number, those types of things. And it's also a large part of your bid submission documents. The other big thing, other than just being in existence, of course, you have to be duly licensed, right? In order to conduct business legally in the territory, you have to have a license from the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs. And those expire every year. So back to being responsive, back to being responsible, you have to renew your licenses. Go into whether you're qualified, you have to have the license in the appropriate category, right? So that's a huge consideration as well. I can't go looking for work as a carpenter. I don't have that skill, right? So be mindful of those things. Certificate of good standing, if you're a corporation, if you're an LLC, if you're a limited liability partnership, limited partnership, limited liability, limited partnership, you all have certain filings to do with the Office of the Lieutenant Governor by June 30th of every year. So please do that so you can have your Certificate of good standing, that is current because it will be required for your bid submissions. Sam.gov registration, those expire annually as well. So please keep those current. Required on all federally funded contracts, required for all local vendors with the government of the Virgin Islands as well. If you have a trade name, as in you're doing business in a name other than your legal name, your fictitious business name, that has to be registered with the Office of the Lieutenant Governor as well. And in order for you to continue using it, it has to be current. So that's also something that we look for in the bid package. If you're awarded, if you're successful, yes, congratulations, you've made it. But every award is going to have its own insurance or bonding requirements based on the type of work. And all of that information is going to be contained in the solicitation to which you responded to. So outside of having your business documents current, you still also have to be able to meet the fundamentals of having insurance and meeting the bonding capacity if that needs to be met. And then when we get to the point, so we've cleared all of that and we get to the point of actually executing the contract, the person who is going to be signing the contract on behalf of your company has to be authorized to do that in order to bind the company. Because if the person doesn't have the authority or the capacity, then it's not a legally binding document. And so that is something that is also going to be a requirement, and it's something that you're going to submit with your packet. I would say treat every solicitation like its own universe, right? So there are going to be similarities from one to the next, but every solicitation packet will tell you what you need to be responsive, what you need to be determined responsible, all of the documents that you need to include in that packet. And as AC Alejandro said before, if the packet asks for it, please submit it. If it asks for it in a particular form, please submit it in that particular form, because it also goes to whether you are responsive to actually have a seat at the table. So it's exciting times for the territory, exciting times at DPP. We are all electronic, full-fledged e-procurement system. Our amazing vendor management team is here with us tonight. They've done such an awesome job in getting so many vendors registered. We're actually at the point where bids are actually being done through GVI Buy. So we're very excited about that. We encourage everyone to register gvibuy.buyspeed.com, dpp.vi.gov, all of the information that you need. We thank everyone for being here tonight. We thank you for the invitation, and I think that's it.
Thank you very much. And so last but definitely not least, we have Miss Mary Jo Williams of Sbdc to present.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of our State Director, Mr. Ted Gutierrez, and our Associate State Director, Ms. Karen Jones, I'm here to present on behalf of the Sbdc. Now, the Sbdc, we have a small staff. We service St. Thomas, St. John, Water Island, and St. Croix. We have a number of contractors that supplement our regular staff. They come with subject matter expertise, which makes life a whole lot easier for us, because it gives us a whole bunch more people to call on for assistance in providing for our small businesses here in the territory. Okay, next slide. A little history about the Sbdc. We were established in 1985, a good year. We're federally funded. Congressionally, that means we get money from the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and we get money from the local government, a line item allotment from the legislature, which is funneled through UVI. So that's your local tax money at work and your federal tax money at work, and that's why the Sbdc exists. Okay, and UVI is the host institution, so the Sbdc employees are really University of the Virgin Islands employees. Our local partners, we want to thank Congresswoman Plaskett, one of our biggest supporters, for putting on this webinar seminar. But she's like one of our biggest supporters, and we really appreciate that. And the staff on St. Croix as well as St. Thomas, and the people up in DC that help make things go to. The University of the Virgin Islands, being the host institution, that's a big supporter. The SBA, Lisa and Wayne here locally, the office out of Puerto Rico, because we're part of the Puerto Rico Virgin Islands District when it comes to the U.S. Small Business Administration. The USVI Department of Property and Procurement, we appreciate them. They came and they've done webinars for us, and that's really been helpful. And they're helping the businesses get online, get registered with SAM, so that's awesome. The Chambers of Commerce, they support us in everything. And of course, the Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority. We're like two peas in a pod. And before we moved from Niski Center, we were neighbors right down the hall from each other. Next slide, please. Okay, now the VI Sbdc impact. Some people say we're the best kept secret in the territory, but we're small but mighty. We've had a big impact. We've had, in terms of helping capitalization of businesses in the territory, over $23 million. That's with an M. Hopefully soon we'll get to the B like Mr. Richardson, but right now we're working on the M's, which is better than the hundreds of thousands. Okay, we've assisted 20 businesses to get started. And a lot of people think, I'll start a business and I'll get rich overnight. It's a little bit more work than that. And most businesses that you think got rich overnight really didn't get rich overnight. It was generally a lot of time in the process. Sometimes it's been years before they get to the point where they're considered overnight successes. We supported over 3,000 jobs, okay? Over 1,000 unique clients, people that have come to us for assistance. And that's been really, really exciting for such a small staff to have such a big impact. Over 6,000 hours of one-on-one advising, and people being able to sit down with a business advisor, either in person or online, using Zoom, using Teams, and even some face-to-face. We put on 192 webinars in that last fiscal year in collaboration with DPP, BIEDA, DRCVI, just tons of organizations. We've come together because we're small but mighty. So by working together, we've been able to reach a much larger group of people. So that's what we've done. And we've had over 6,000 training attendees. That's a lot of people zooming in, okay? Because most of our presentations have been on Zoom. Next slide. So for those contractors, before you start, we want you to make sure your business is registered, because if you're not a registered business with the, you not only have to be registered with the Lieutenant Governor's office, you have to be licensed through Licensing and Consumer Affairs. Okay, so you register with Lieutenant Governor's office, you get licensed with DLCA. You must be registered in SAM for the federal contracts, and now you must be registered in SAM for the local contracts. So that really helps to move people all in one direction. And you have to get, until April 4th, you can have a DUNS number, but after that, you have to get your unique identifier number. And that's all pretty cool. The Sba.gov, these are some programs that help small businesses take advantage of the fact that the federal government is the largest purchaser of services in the whole world. And as Addie would say, todo mundo. Okay, so small disadvantaged businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and the 8A Business Development Program helps to level the playing field for businesses that have been historically, socially, and economically disadvantaged. So those programs are designed to help a lot of businesses that are in business here in the territory. We need people to take advantage of them. And like some of the previous speakers have said, you need to have your paperwork in order. That's one of the biggest stumbling blocks that we've seen with businesses, is not having your paperwork in order. And as you start your business, be organized, because as you grow, it'll be easier to stay organized. DPP, you want to get registered so you can do business with the local government, because that $1.9 billion from Housing Finance Authority, that's a lot of money. And every week we hear the governor saying that we have so much money that we can't spend it all. But we really want to make a good faith effort at spending as much of it as possible. So the SBDC is here to help small businesses get their acts together so that we can get a bigger piece of the pie. Because for years, people have said, people have come to the territory from outside and gotten all the jobs. Well, if your paperwork is in order, you can get the jobs. If your paperwork's not in order, you can't get the job. Okay, and as DPP said, you need to be familiar with the bidding process. That's for the federal government as well as for the local government. Be familiar, be licensed and insured, make sure you have the capacity. And if you can't do all the work yourself, collaborate with some other businesses, because there's strength in numbers. So if you can't do it all, find 2 or 3 other businesses out there that you can work with, and you guys tackle the project. Okay, and be sure to keep good records. It'll come back to haunt you. An example with the PPP that was available to small businesses because of COVID, some businesses couldn't get that because they hadn't filed their business taxes. Okay, and it delayed the process. For some businesses, it might have helped them to stay in business, but some businesses unfortunately went out of business because they couldn't show that they had made a profit in the last tax year that was requested. So please, pretty please, with brown sugar on top, keep your records straight. Okay, and then coming up to help to add on to what we're saying here tonight, the Sbdc is putting on a government contracting seminar May 3rd and May 4th in person. Yay. So sign up so you can attend those. And last but not least is our contact information. You can reach us by phone in St. Thomas and at 340-693-1694, in St. Croix at 340-692-4294. You can catch us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Twitter. And all of that's at VISBDC. You can email us at info@visbdc.org. You can check us out on the website at www.visbdc.org. But even more exciting than all of that, you can download our app in the Apple Store and in the Android Store. Just download the app and it'll take you right to our page, and you can be right in the middle of things. And it's fun. I even have the app downloaded on my phone. So, and on behalf of the SBDC, we want to thank you for the opportunity to be here to present. Congresswoman Plaskett, Cletus, Tioni, and all the staff, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mary Jo. And before you go, Mary Jo, just wanted to ask a question. For the 8A businesses, do Black farmers qualify under the 8A?
Farmers?
Yes.
I'm not sure. Nope, Lisa is shaking her head. Farmers do not qualify under 8A, but USDA has all sorts of programs that will help farmers.
Okay, thank you very much for that. If anyone in the audience wants to ask a question, Luan just set up the mic there. Did you turn it? Is it on? Is this thing on? Thank you for that. And I'll also check to see. I don't see any questions in the chat right now. And I did also have one other question from my office's standpoint. I just recently understood that agencies like WAPA and Waste Management have a slightly different procurement process. Do you think that it'd be helpful for them to be at a forum like this to present that process? I'm hearing yeses. I mean, go for it. Yeah.
I think so, absolutely. Reason being, we have these semi-autonomous agency, all of them have varying procurement regulations and rules. So it's important that the bidders know what those regulations, what those rules are to be participants in their bidding process. So absolutely.
Okay. You can leave it on. You can leave it on. Yeah. Rena, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Can you expand a little bit more about the 10% match you were talking about? Where there's the additional funding for the value-added grants?
The value-added grants. The value-added grant is a one-to-one match. Was that the specific program you were talking about?
Oh, I might have messed up my notes, but I know you talked about the 10% match needed for one of the grant
Oh,
programs.
I'm sorry. Yes, there is a 10%. Sorry, there is a 10% grant match, but under COVID relief funds, that could be covered. They could cover some of that match requirement.
Okay, and so is it a application process to try to access that funding?
Yes, it's online, as well as we could email that to you, or to the applicant, I should say.
Okay,
And it's 2 application templates. Like I mentioned in the presentation, we have planning and working capital. So they have to determine which way they want to go.
all right, thank you very much for that. Anyone else had any additional questions before we close out? Okay, hearing none. I want to thank all the participants in this event tonight. You know, you all did a great job presenting. We'll be doing this one more time again tomorrow in St. Croix, tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. And so thank you all for being here and presenting. Thank the viewing and listening audience. And of course, thank you, Congresswoman Plaskett, for putting this on. And I also have to thank and also big ups to Mr. Calvin Bones Jones, who was the sound man here tonight. Thank you very much, sir. And of course, I can't forget Luan, who's doing all the hustling. So thanks, Luan. All right, thank you all. Have a good night. Feel free to grab some more refreshments or sandwiches on the way, if they, as much as you want. We ain't going home with them, but thank you all very much.